Our Bible nerds, welcome back to our Women of the Bible series. I know I took a 2 week break. I was just a little bit burned out, but I'm back. Today we're getting into one of the most relatable duos ever. It's Mary and Martha. So if you've ever tried to host people and suddenly your soul left your body because the dishes piled up, Martha is your girl. Martha might be my girl. And if you've ever checked out of the chaos and sat on the floor trying to hear from Jesus instead of folding towels, Mary is right there with you. So before we dive into the story, here are the scriptures you'll want to read to prep for part 2. We have Luke chapter 10, verse 38 to 42, John chapter 11, verses 1 to 44, and John chapter 12, verses 1 to 8. And these chapters give us the full picture of their personalities, their faith, and the way Jesus interacts with them. So let's go ahead and get started. So the scene starts in a village called Bethany, just a couple miles outside Jerusalem. This was the home of 3 siblings: Martha, the responsible older sister, and there's Mary, the soft-hearted listener, and then their brother Lazarus, who is basically famous for that one time Jesus brought him back from the dead. Yeah. So now Jesus wasn't just visiting, random people. He loved this family. This was one of the houses where he could, kick off his sandals, relax, and breathe a little. Think of that one friend's house where you immediately turn into your true gremlin self because you are comfortable. That was Mary, Martha, and Lazarus for him. So let's start with Luke 10 because that's where we get the classic, Mary versus Martha moment. Okay, so here's the scene. Martha is doing what, every Filipino tita does before guests arrive. Sprinting around like world is ending. She's cooking, organizing, vacuuming, or maybe not vacuuming because they didn't have vacuum at the time, but, cleaning things. And Jesus shows up with his disciples, which means we're not talking a cute little dinner. We're talking a full house. So she's sweating, she's stressed, she's doing it all. Mary, meanwhile, well, she just sits. She sits at Jesus' feet, totally absorbed in his words. She's not stirring the pot, she's not cutting vegetables, she's not setting the table. She's literally sitting on the floor, vibing with the word. You can already imagine Martha's blood pressure rising. I'm definitely a Martha, for sure. Eventually, Martha snaps and tells Jesus, "Lord, tell her to help me." And Jesus responds with that famous line that basically says, "Martha, you're worried about a lot, but Mary chose something better." So not because serving is bad, but because sometimes we choose pressure over presence. So that's moment number 1. So fast forward to John 11. So here we see the emotional, vulnerable side of these sisters. Lazarus gets sick, and they send word to Jesus. They fully believe he can heal. But when Jesus arrives, Lazarus has already been dead for 4 days. And this is where we see their personalities again. Martha runs out to meet Jesus the second he shows up. She's direct, honest, a little sassy, but respectful. She says, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Mary stays home at first, overwhelmed with grief, until Jesus calls for her. When she finally reaches him, she falls at his feet and says the exact same words her sister said, but with deep tears. 2 women, same faith, different expressions. And Jesus meets both of them where they are. This chapter shows us their relationship with him, wasn't shallow. They weren't just the girl who cooks and the girl who listens. They were friends to Jesus. They loved him and he loved them. Then Jesus raises Lazarus, proving, he's not just a healer. He's the resurrection. And then John 12. So 6 days before Passover, Jesus comes back to Bethany. Lazarus is alive, sitting at the table eating like nothing happened. Mary and Martha immediately fall back into their familiar roles. Martha serves again, this time without complaint. And then did I say Mary? Martha. Martha serves again, this time without complaint, and then Mary breaks the expensive perfume and anoints Jesus' feet. A quiet, intimate act of worship. So from these 3 chapters, we see a pattern. Martha serves with her hand, Mary worships with her heart. Jesus honors both. He corrects where needed and draws each woman into deeper relationship with him. And, that is pretty much it for part 1. That's just our warm-up episode. In part 2, we'll break the verses down one by one, look at what Jesus actually said, and pull out lessons we can apply to our life right now. Spoiler alert, this story is not about choosing chores or choosing vibes. It's about choosing Jesus in the middle of both. So I'll see you all in part 2 where we go deep. So bring your notes, highlighters, your drink, because we're getting into it. All right, I'll see y'all in part 2.